Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. I'm your host, Sean Garmer, and here with me as always, Mr. Mark Morrison.
Howdy.
And I'm doing in a different location today that doesn't have as great internet, so I apologize if the stream has some issues. Hope not, but we'll see. We do have some things to talk about here, as we mentioned it last week. E3 is kind of on the teetering point. This week, it's officially canceled. So we got that to go on. Marc has played a lot more Resident Evil 4 Remake, so we got that to talk about. And of course, there's Streetfighter movie possibility news and some big news in not video game related stuff that we kind of sometimes talk about related to WWE that we'll get in here as well. So we got all that and more right after this.
You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
All right, so just in case to get this out of the way, let's get this going with the housekeeping. If this is your first time listening or 100th time listening, we appreciate you. Regardless, thank you for checking us out, whether you check this out live on YouTube or on the Facebook, W2 Network on both, or later on Twitter, on the W2 Network Twitter or Instagram or wherever. We're also on demand on YouTube. If you can't watch live, you can always watch later on YouTube. As soon as this show gets posted, it's on YouTube. And then, of course, you can also watch it on our Twitch later as well. And then if you subscribe, follow, like all those things on YouTube, not only does it help us out, but you get everything else that we do as part of the W2 Network. So Todd the Keiki that apparently is deciding to do a WrestleMania focus show while we're doing this one that I had no idea we're doing. So good, look forward to that. We got the Radless folks doing one of their movie reviews as well that you'll be able to check out. They also do metal music that you can watch TV shows. They try to keep up with pretty much everything entertainment related. So if there's something that's been recently released that you're interested in, I'm sure we have a review for it over on the Radless side, which you can also listen to on podcasts. Just go subscribe to Radless Broadcasting and listen to them. And of course, you can listen to us on podcasts if you're one of those listen with your ears instead of watch with your eyes people. And anytime anywhere there's podcasts, any of those podcasters that you know and love, we are on there. You can go find us and subscribe. Give us a review if you'd like, and that would be very helpful because that helps us move up the ranking. So that's always great. So let's get started here. Marc, I've only been playing the same kind of two games. I got further into Octopath Traveler 2. I think I'm halfway through everybody's chapter 2s at this point, and still very much enjoying the game. Still very much loving the characters. Every time I do one of these chapters, I find out something pretty neat about one of the characters, and it kind of keeps making me want to continue on and play the game. And I really haven't, gone through a story of one of these characters that I haven't enjoyed for, one reason or the other. The most recent one I did was Particio's. He's the merchant guy, and it goes through where they discover the steam engine. So the guy that started the place where he grew up from left and decided to go build steam engines, and then he goes and tries to track him down for other reasons that I won't spoil. And so you kind of get to learn some interesting stuff about steam engines, and also just kind of go through his story as well. Another one that I'm not usually I'm not big on the healers in those games, but the apothecary character has a really interesting story as well that I've quite enjoyed. So yeah, it's all good. I just kind of slowly making my way through that game because there's a lot. And I played a lot more Have a Nice Death, which I've actually, kind of warmed up to because I thought I was starting to get into that thing that usually happens with me in roguelikes where I'm like, I'm not progressing, and I think I'm just kind of not sure if I want to keep doing this. And
Right.
finally was able to beat the. It's not that I realized I was like, I think I'm just not being patient enough. And I was like, okay, let me watch what this boss does. And then I was like, wow, that's all he does is a few like jumps and flies around and whatever. And once I figured it out, I beat him pretty quick, and I got through like the next couple of worlds or whatever, which one of them is a really cool like toxic waste looking thing with like, imagine if like McDonald's went through this like sludge dump and everything looked kind of like it was in one of those things, and all the enemies are like milkshakes and deformed burgers and whatever. It's pretty interesting. Just like a different kind of a looking kind of death, I guess you could say. So that I've enjoyed just progressing to that. I'm probably just gonna go see if I can get further and then review that as well, and then see if I can get done with everything, because right now I have a lull. All of the stuff I'm kind of interested in is coming out at the end of the month.
Yeah.
For April. So, and it all comes up, kind of comes out bam, 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 one after the other. So we'll see. I know you're, which a lot of people got to see this week, the Jedi Survivor 2 or Jedi Survivor, the second Jedi game, I guess. That
Right.
comes at the end of this one too. So, but all right, how was your trip? How much further are you in Resident Evil 4 Remake here?
I'm in chapter 13. It's basically the game is basically broken into like 3 distinct areas. So this is like the start of the 3rd area, the island area. I would probably finish it, but I've been sick the past week, so I've been not entirely focused on it, let's say. But yeah, I'm like, I don't know, 13, 14 hours in.
How do you feel about any changes that they've made since the original? Or
it's mostly good. Like it really does play like Resident Evil, like the Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 3 remakes. Except I don't think you can move in those games. I'd have to go back and look, but I think you might be able to. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, you can move when you like put your feet down, like ready your weapon. So that helps. The only thing that I don't like is they took out the 180 quick turn thing, which was kind of goofy, but was actually kind of helpful just to get around faster. But that's like the only like negative change I can think of. Everything else is like good.
How do you like the breakable knife? Or
that's fine. I mean, you do have a breakable knife, but you pick up other knives along the way, and then you can always repair the knife. So it's kind of a non-factor. And I'm well on my way to collecting the unbreakable knife. So I'm sure if I go to like playthrough number 2, it'll be a lot easier.
How is the merchant and all the other characters?
He sucks.
That,
he sucks. I mean, he's fine, I guess, but they replaced the voice actor. He sounds less weird, like less like distinct, and now he just sounds like Australian. Like he sounds like Kano from the Mortal Kombat movie, the original one.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. He has a shooting gallery, which I really do not like. So the negative thing about that game really is it has like ruined my PS5 controller. That game has like a lot of weird stick drift issues. Like I'll be on the map and it'll start zooming out, and I'm like, I'm not touching anything. What's going on here? And like other games won't have this issue. It's just Resident Evil 4, sorry. Or like the item case will just kind of start moving by itself. And I'm like, this ain't normal.
Yeah, that's weird.
It also blew out my PS5 controller speaker.
Oh damn.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about sending a bill to Capcom. Bill, you fix it, or
So it causes drifts.
Like I don't know if it causes it, but like it's so sensitive that it happens. I mean, I'm sure the controller, like there might be some drift, but like no other game I have
causes that
notices
much stress.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or there's no way to like turn it down, let's say.
Right.
So yeah, like this game, like anytime I go into the menu or into the map at all, it starts zooming out. And I'm like, even if I like push it back to like normal, it'll start going like zooming out.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
What is everything kind of out, the inventory management, all that stuff stayed the same? Just
yeah, they did add a really nice, helpful like auto sort to really like efficiently do it. Like the game just does it automatically, which I've used a few times, which is nice. But yeah, so that same kind of like Tetris, or the same kind of rotating items to like fit them in correctly or stuff like that. Yeah, they combining like the ammo crafting is really helpful. Like you can like make better herbs like you always could, but now you can make new ammo as well. So you pick up a lot of resources. I have never wanted for bullets in that game.
and you've been like shooting pretty much.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You're not like running away mostly. You're mostly just shooting everything.
No, in fact, one of the bosses, like one of the like Act 2 bosses, it's against two of these giant guys, and I mean I forgot I remember that boss in the original game, but you're with a guy named Lewis, and you're just shooting these things down, and I basically I had enough ammo on me to take them both down, and then I got a trophy like, oh, you beat the two giants without throwing them in the blast furnace, and I was like, that's an option. Like, because I just burned them down. I had a ton of ammo. One of the things you can do is customize your weapon case, your inventory to like have different effects. Right. So one of them is like increase the amount of red herbs dropped, and the one I'm using is increase the amount of large resources dropped, which is your rifle ammo. If you can make rifle ammo out of it. So I have a ton of rifle ammo, and it's a sniper rifle ammo, but I can one-shot almost anything, so that helps.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm glad that you're enjoying the game, and it seems like, all right, would you say you enjoy it more than the original, or?
Yeah. Although, I think there are some areas that have been cut out, I think the lake has been pretty drastically reduced.
I thought they said they made that more of a thing because in the original it was not.
I may be getting confused. I may be getting confused with Resident Evil 5. That's what I think I am. Yeah. There's only like 3 or 4 areas to go in the lake, so I'm probably confused with Resident Evil 5 because there's a whole stupid boat section in that game also that sucked. I know one thing they did was cut out like this one boss fight in Act 3, which like I was like, I haven't hit that boss fight in the game, but it's cut out anyway. But I'm like, I vaguely remember that guy, and I looked at the boss fight, and I'm like, yeah, it's good to cut it out because that fight looks like a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's interesting that they did like kind of switch things around too, to kind of make it feel different. Where it's like that's one of those things that you don't think about when you have remakes and stuff like that. Is hey, let's kind of switch things around to make it interesting. That's one of those things, like I guess, kind of similar to Final Fantasy 7 Remake, where it's like, well, not all this stuff happened in the same sequence, but we kind of made it feel better that way. So
I mean, the same story is like 90% there, 95% there. But it's nice in this game they can go back to old areas to like get trophies or get treasures and stuff like that. Because I think in the original game, it kind of like blocked you off from doing that.
Yeah.
So,
have you had to do anything with Ashley?
Oh yeah. I mean, she's trapped again, but now I'm trying to get the key card to go rescue her. I did her section, which is a lot easier in this game than the old one, because in the old one it sucked really bad.
Yeah, no health meter, right?
I was dreading that. No, she can still die. But she has like a section where like she's on her own with like a stupid like flashlight. And it was just terrible. and this one isn't much better, but it's a lot shorter and easier, so that helped.
Yeah.
I've got a few game overs in that game, but the first one I got was like because of her, because an enemy grabbed her and was trying to take her away, and then I just like shot her, or I shot him, and the bullet went through him and hit her, and the game did not like that. And I was like,
Game's
okay,
like, you have killed Ashley.
pretty much, yeah. I've stuck to like a few like specific weapons in the game, and I'm only really using those.
Well, I'm sure that looks like you'll probably be close to done by the time.
Yeah, I'll be finishing that by the end of the week, hopefully, and then write the review really quickly.
Yeah.
It's a really great game. Or it still holds up really well, even with built on the bone, like the structure of the old game, but that held up really well too. So
yeah, that was one of those games that they keep porting it over to other things, and people keep playing it and keep talking about it. Then it's like, yo, they make this.
They ported it to the PS4, and it's like, yo, that's an old game already,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like Switch, you kind of expect, okay, those games are old. It won't look that bad on Switch, but then, yeah, exactly. You put it on PS4, on Xbox, and it's like, okay, this game's already old. And it already outsold the lifetime sales of the PS2 and GameCube versions in 1 week, in the first couple days.
Yeah.
It was pretty amazing to see, like, it's the second best-selling game already in like the first 2 or 3 days. Only like Resident Evil, I think 6 beat it out, which is pretty amazing, considering you did have Resident Evil 2 remake and all that stuff. So yeah,
I'm kind of curious. I mean, once I'm done with this, to go back to Resident Evil 3, because I didn't finish that. I didn't play that much at all. I just kind of got bored with it, and I think a lot of people did. Like that's kind of
there was a lot of people that were mad that they did we cut too much out of that one compared to 2 and 4. So I think they learned their lesson with 3, where it's like, okay, we can't go too far in one direction. I think also because I think it wouldn't have felt as bad if they would have done what they wanted, which was to release 2 and 3 together.
Yeah.
And because they had to release them separately due to COVID and all that, I think that's kind of what made it feel worse, because you really are supposed to kind of play them together and not separately like that. So let's see, because there's a lot of talk now of, do they go back and remake the original remake before we go and I know you want Code Veronica, which I think they've kind of said no to.
But why? What's the problem with that one? Like that was at the time, that was I think the most highly reviewed Resident Evil game.
Yeah. And it's weird because it's like that kind of goes along with 2 as well. So like, why wouldn't you also remake that, so you have that whole segment of Resident Evil remade in that engine? Very nice. Like Resident Evil 1 it's old itself, just like the GameCube.
Sure. Yeah.
Resident Evil 4. So it would be due for a remake at this point if they wanted to do it like modern and kind of have more of that, which I've really appreciated with these new remakes. They've had more connective tissue. So if they do that with this one, you'll definitely have all of that. Interesting that they don't even mention like redoing Resident Evil 0 at all either.
Yeah, no one cares about that one. So
yeah, I just hope they don't go and remake 5, because there's no need for that. I think
people said that about 4, and they proved them wrong. I think if they did 5 now, it'd probably be pretty fun with the co-op nature of it.
Yeah, true. But I don't know. I think like Code Veronica deserves to be first if you're gonna do one of those
for sure,
or one before ED5.
Code Veronica, I mean that kind of was passed around as well. It ported over, but not to too many systems,
right?
Compared to like 4, and that's the game that at moment at the at present needs the most updating.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the thing is, like, I'm very surprised that, they have kind of been like just poo-pooing that, honestly.
Yeah.
As I realized the whole time that this fan has been on behind me.
It's not a big deal. Well, I didn't hear it, so you can go from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, do Code Veronica. maybe do 0 if you want to after that, and then go do 5.
Yeah, we'll see.
And then completely remake 6.
Yeah, exactly.
This
They
a whole
do
new
have
game.
to do. Yes, very very much true on that. I mean, they do have to do 9 at some point here.
Yeah.
So, will they announce another remake or will they announce 9 in the time being? I'd imagine they're already working on 9, even though that's going to be totally new because supposedly that DLC for Village ends the whole Ethan Winters thing. So,
right,
you're going to have a different protagonist in that one.
Another Chris Redfield adventure.
Yeah, why not?
He's only 55 years old now, but he's still going along.
Exactly, and he's
That's
still
like Shane McMahon.
Yeah, exactly. He's still doing his thing and shooting up people and looking badass while he does it.
Yeah.
But all right, that's it for us talking about games you play. Oh, wait, what?
I played something else.
What else have you?
I was really bored one day. I mean, I was still playing Resident Evil 4, but I was like, I should look at this at some point. I played Marvel's Avengers.
Oh gosh, okay. Did you play the single player or you played the?
At first, it launched me into like the map is like the mission selection is terrible because it like launches you into like the post game or the post single player story, and it's like, wait a second, why would you do this? Like,
I haven't played the single player story.
Yeah, this seems dumb. Like I had to like dig into menus to figure out what the single player is. And then I didn't even play a bunch of Kamala. Like I played like 20 minutes of it or like a half hour or maybe an hour. But Iron Man seemed okay. Thor seemed fun, and everyone else seemed like a bummer to play. Especially Hulk. That's
like, sad to hear.
Punching, like, he jumps so anemically. Like, it's like, this is the Hulk. Like, he should be like bounding over buildings.
Exactly.
Not, he has you're on the Golden Gate Bridge, it's getting all fucked up, and you have to like jump between cars, like on like the sides of trucks and shit like that. And I failed like 6 times because he just did not have enough height to like jump between these areas. And I'm like, this is where he's supposed to go, but like he doesn't have enough height to do this. So this is terrible. Right. Like no wonder like this got not banned, but like got heavily criticized when it came out because like, this is not fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean that's the thing. It's like everybody's like a lot of the single player, but then everything else was like
like combat just did not seem fun at all, or except for Thor and Iron Man, which when that game came out initially, you could only play like one hero, or like be in parties with like one hero apiece. Like,
exactly. Yeah, you could.
It's like wow, okay, that must have been a real mess then.
So you got to find the one that wants to play as this character that's not great in this game, but go for it.
Right, but that's all I've been playing then.
All right. Well, let's get into the news here, and might as well start with what feels like the inevitable. The official cancellation of E3 by ReedPop.
Yep.
Nobody should be surprised. The way this thing has been going, it has just been very suspicious the entire time. They've never come out and said, hey, this is who's actually going.
Yeah.
And this is who you can expect there. And here are some of the booths that are going to be there. They did do the whole, put out the thing to get press evaluated and who could get approved to go. There were some people that got approved. Like I know Outer Haven had already gotten approved, and some other people as well. Easy Allies said they had gotten approved and everything. And then all of a sudden we start hearing the stories of, Ubisoft will be there if there is an E3. And then next thing you know, Ubisoft is not there. And then Summer Game Fest kind of like quote tweets them, even though they don't really officially say that they're part of Summer Game Fest. I guess they kind of are. And then SEGA and Tencent this week were like, yep, we're not going to be there either. And it's like, well, who is going to be there? just like I think we talked about last week, is this going to be just basically a glorified PAX with some indies and maybe like Embracer Group is the biggest, people there, and I kind of don't blame Reed Pop at this point. Like, what? You've also got to have enough there to get people to want to fly out and go there. Yeah, it's okay for these outlets that are already in LA and it's just like taking a bus ride or whatever, and they'll just go over there, or the big company's paying. But if you're going to get a bunch of these outlets that are going to go on their own dime, there's other things to go do in LA, namely, Jeff Keighley's thing. They're going to go do that instead because you just had PAX. Like, why would you want to pay all that money to go to another PAX? So, yeah, it's sad again to see this, that, the legendary name of gaming conventions, gaming industry events is seemingly gone. And there seems to be no way to bring it back in a way that befits what is needed right now. The ESA would have to really take a hit as far as like how much they charge and kind of bend over backwards to get people there. And then when you already know you're not going to have the big three, and you got somebody else that seems determined to, even though he won't say it directly, he seems determined to make sure that you are not the big dog anymore.
Yeah.
That's a lot of things going against you. I know Jeff Keighley came out and, tried to be, I guess you could say, diplomatic about it. Like, oh yeah, E3 meant so much to me, but hey, Summer Game Fest, it's happening. Don't forget. Like,
and then I crushed it under my boot.
Yeah, like you might as well exactly have made an emoji of somebody stomping, Stone Cold stomping a mud hole in E3 or something. Like that's pretty much what he's trying to insinuate at this point. I'm not saying that's what he wanted, but he said it himself. I made Summer Games Fest because I know E3 was lacking something, and I'm trying to bring what E3 lacks. And
well, E3, the problem with E3 was that it seemed like the ESA, like they seemed very incommunicative and unwilling to update over the past several years. And like their big innovation was like letting the public in, but it's like that doesn't help. Like if anything, that hurts. So
exactly, you already have that with Gamescom. You have that with PAX. Like you have that with other industry events. Like E3. Look, I'm not saying that it's only special because press got to go or whatever, but it didn't feel as it's crowded, but you feel like you can still do enough things there. Now obviously that thing changed since the only time I got to go, so I can't really comment on what it was like, all the other years after I went, but it is something that I hate for people coming up, and so many of our other colleagues that are younger that will never get to experience what that was at the height of its zenith and be able to say, oh, I went to an E3 and experience the things that are there in LA around it and everything else. It's like, is Summer Game Fest going to be able to bring everybody together? I don't know. It's more of like, okay, we have the quote unquote press conferences still that happened before E3. Ubisoft is doing their thing around that time. Xbox is doing their thing around that time. It looks like Sony might do theirs like a week before so they can have their own, time to shine and whatever. They don't want Summer Games Fest trying to leech onto them, which I understand. Sony's big enough. They don't need that. We don't know if Nintendo's going to do a June thing or not because they're still going to be living in Tears of the Kingdom land. And they may not have a whole lot to really show for the rest of the year. I'm sure we will get whatever their post-summer stuff is, but they may not be in a rush to really make sure that they have a direct for June if they're not ready, So that's the thing is like, that was what was cool about E3 is that everybody came together for this 1 week event. And for 1 week, you got to know everything that was going on. And now it's like spread out over a bunch of time. And it's these little bitty things every day. You get the big ones here and there, but it doesn't feel like, oh, let's go to the Summer Games Fest show floor and here's all the stuff that's here and like play all these games and talk to. That's another thing that was really cool is like going to. I know people that are not writers or part of Games Journal care about this part at all, and I'm sorry if you don't. But I am going to talk about it from that perspective because that's the perspective that we have. Is it's awesome to be able to go to the floor and be able to talk to all these different PR people and be known that way and not just be this faceless person through an email.
Right.
And like have the access to talk to developers right there. Things that separate you from anybody. Everybody has one of these, everybody has one of these gaming podcasts, bro. We're not special in any way in that way. Like everybody can start one of these, talk about, games the way you want to talk about and talk about the news and everything. Your experience is your experience, but it's a thing to be able to go to an event, wear the badge for your site or whatever that you write for, and be able to be like, hey, I'm Sean from such and such place. What game are you working on? And then get to write about that game and say, I went there. That you're not going to get the trailer for the Tears of the Kingdom 10-minute gameplay, and that's all you're going to get like you do now. You can actually go like what would happen with Jedi Survivor and say, oh, this is my experience of playing that game. This is what I thought. And like you get that for a whole week. Yeah, you can still get that at PAX and everything, but it's like it's all these things together, like all these things that happen because there was an E3 and there was this developer talked to this developer and now they decided to make a game together and stuff like that. That there's a lot of companies that don't go to PAX. Like a lot of the Japanese devs don't go, right? It was surprising to see Square Enix went, to show off Final Fantasy 16 or whatever. GDC is more of a developer's thing. So,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say Square Enix kind of makes sense though because of all the cosplay that goes on.
Right. Yeah. No. Plus, they have a big game to show off. So,
right.
I mean, and that's the thing too. Like E3 used to be, you just bring all the stuff you're gonna put out for the rest of the year, and maybe like 6 months after that. Now it's like, okay, well, you maybe have like one game that you're bringing, and that's it. And do you need to play a big money for a booth for that? Not really. You can just show that whenever you feel like it, and that's it, right? So, unfortunately, I wish that we didn't have to. And thank you, Rod, for the kind words. I wish we didn't have to see the fact that E3 is going away. I don't know. I don't feel the same vibe from Summer Games Fest that I do from E3 right now.
Because it just seems like PAX, with Jeff Keighley doing it, or it just seems like who cares,
It feels like an extension of the Game Awards, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, here's another thing where we show a bunch of trailers and whatever, and then here's another but then it's like every day, every hour we have some thing. And then there's other stuff like the mixed stuff, the wholesome stuff, the freedom games, the other like indie stuff that's like by themselves that Summer Games Fest doesn't want to claim. And then it's like, it's so much. It's so much that like when you had E3, it was, okay, here's the press conferences like a couple of days before. And then, okay, here's like 4 things. And it was cool when G4 got to go because they had every day they would actually go around and show stuff on the floor. Giant Bomb had their couch, that they did stuff from. Like
now they didn't have the couch.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not the same. I mean, maybe it will get there one day, right? He still has like the Judges Week thing where you can go early and play games and things like that. At least the people that get selected. Also, he kind of needs to. He doesn't have like the go get approved for Summer Games Fest thing. Right now, it just feels like, well, if you're one of the lucky few that I happen to know, you
that
might
I'm
get to
buddy
go.
with. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like right now it doesn't feel like, oh, this is open for everybody. It feels like this is still very selective, even more than E3 was.
Right.
And E3 was very open. Later on, it started getting very selective because at one point it got so big that it was just like, oh, we're not even doing a vetting process anymore. Everybody and their mother is going. And it got so huge that like you're going, why are you even here? Like what position do you have anywhere? And it's like, oh, lonely GameStop employee coming because no reason at all. You know, like
they wanted to. Well, I mean, that's always been E3 though.
Yeah, but you know, and then adding in the people, like you said, it's cool that everybody gets to go and have that experience. But like, number one, you're charging them a ridiculous amount of money for them to go, and then two, for the lines that they have to wait in and everything, it doesn't feel worth it, you know, for them to be showing up for that either.
Yeah,
but Reed Pop did not seem very happy. They didn't seem very like quick to go, oh yeah, don't worry, we'll be here next year. They were very hesitant to say anything regarding that. So I think we might be able to officially say that E3 might be dead, folks, unless somebody just takes it under its wing and says, okay, we're revamping this entire thing. But everybody seems to kind of be okay with Jeff Keighley running the show right now. So until you get somebody else that says, oh, you know what, I want to revive the E3 name and we're just going to do what Jeff Keighley did years ago for E3, I think that name is gone. It's part of the past, part of the legacy of the gaming industry. So
it's like Tokyo Game World or Tokyo.
Tokyo Game Show
still
exists, but it's nowhere near the huge thing it used to be.
Or no, I was thinking Space World, Nintendo's thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Nintendo Space World thing. That's right. I don't know. Did you watch? I meant to watch it, and I did not watch any of that. Tears of the Kingdom gameplay thing.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, like personally. So I'm sure the game will come out and it'll get 10s across the board. But they'll be overinflated. And
yeah.
I see. I'm the one of the few guys who really didn't like Breath of the Wild that much. So them leaning further into that is like, okay, this is turning me off more then. So good job.
Yeah.
You know, like
it very much seems like, okay, if you really enjoyed Breath of the Wild, you're gonna like this.
Right. But it's like, okay, what happens if you didn't like Breath of the Wild? Well, go fuck yourself, you know,
or go play one of the other Zelda games that exist.
Go look up Darksiders, see how that treats you.
Right. Go play the Minish Cap on the Nintendo Switch Online, or
I will. Or, that's a good game still.
It is. When it feels inevitable that we're going to get the Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD ports. So whenever those come out, go play those.
Whenever those shadow drop, and it's like, it's out now. It's like, what?
Exactly. It's out now. Go play it now. So yeah, it is what it is with E3. Nintendo is gearing up for something else. Reviews are in for the Mario movie. It seems like it's really good. I'm excited I'm going to go on Saturday to watch it. So we'll definitely have some thoughts on it next. Do you know when are you going to go?
I'm probably going to see it like next Monday because a friend wants to see it. So
okay. All right. Well, I don't know. We'll see how that goes, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be good. Or I don't think the reviews are out though. So
no, there are people that went to the premiere that already are gushing about it or whatever, saying it's like a love letter to Mario, and there's Easter eggs upon Easter eggs. Very appropriate that it's out on Easter weekend,
right?
As well. So they had to move it up because Nintendo didn't realize that it was Good Friday in the States here. So yeah, but either way, I'm sure that people will go on Friday, Saturday, and probably even Sunday. I might even do that. I might go Saturday night with coworkers and then take a night on Sunday because I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it and will want to watch it again.
Right.
So Yeah, that's something to look forward to for sure for this week. Speaking of, I did want to watch a Tetris movie, but I didn't get time. I was gonna try to do it while I was doing my OT, but then I was like, oh yeah, the TV's behind me. It's pretty much very difficult for me to like be constantly turning around trying to watch it. But I've heard a lot of good things. So
Yeah.
next week we might have a review of that as well, for sure. But speaking of movie things, what do you know, Mark? Another gaming franchise is possibly going to be turned into a television show or even both, a movie as legendary. The iconic studio is got the rights to both a TV show and film rights as well. So if you're too young to remember the Jean-Claude Van Damme led Street Fighter movie, probably better that you don't. But I don't know. How do you feel about that movie? Was it?
It's it's a bad adaptation and it's kind of a bad film, but
Yeah,
the some of the casting is pretty spot on. But it's a very misdirected or misguided film because it's Guile's film, and so who cares about
yeah,
him?
yeah. It's like Guile is not. He's like one of those tiers behind the other guys that you normally would care about when it comes to
Yeah,
Street Fighter.
the character select starts with Ryu, it doesn't start with Guile. So
Right. Ryu, Ken, and Bison, even Chun Li. So Blanca would probably be maybe higher tier in that, but we'll see how they would even do it.
I mean, is it that hard to just replicate the anime movie?
I guess not, right? They do have that to go off of. They have those anime movies that are pretty well done.
The only problem is, I imagine in today's climate that Chun-Li fight scene would not go over too well. But
oh yeah, I'm sure not. Or the shower scene.
Not that I meant, yeah.
Yeah. Even though I'm sure they will probably have something like that because they got to do fan service somewhere probably. Right. But yeah, I'm not gonna pass judgment, right? Obviously they're trying to feed off the hype that is happening right now with Street Fighter 6 coming in a couple of months now, and why not? Why not get people hyped to the possibility that there could be a Street Fighter movie, a Street Fighter series? How many of these big franchises are going to have series in the works or have movies in the works already? So this is kind of just another one in the line of who knows, I guess, if this is going to get made or not. But
I don't know, get made because look at all the crap that's been greenlit lately. But
yeah,
and it's a big enough name to
Plus, Mortal Kombat had a movie not too long ago, so why not?
Right.
Have Street Fighter have one? I mean, do you think that it can be good? Like, it has to focus on Ryu for it to be interesting, or
no? Let us introduce some new white guy, generic white guy in the lead role. He's the true Street Fighter.
He's not.
He's descended from Ryu somehow. No, I mean Ryu's kind of the archetypal main character though, so you kind of have to focus on him.
Yeah,
or at least maybe Ken. But yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you're gonna get the cameos from the other ones, the other like known entities in the series and everything else.
Right.
I think it's how much do you play on like having the cameos, having the flashbacks, and then finding a story that makes sense. Also, because I think it's different when you have, say, like a Mario or Sonic, where you can kind of play around with what the story is. Whereas I think Street Fighter is like, okay, this is a fighting game. It kind of has to be a bit serious.
Man, not necessarily, but it'd be nice if it was, but I think they're going to introduce a whole bunch of like stupid comedy crap into it.
Yeah, I think that's one part that like that original Street Fighter movie was just, it made sometimes too much fun of itself.
Right.
It's very of its time. I guess you
Yeah.
could say. So
Having a coked out, John Claude Van Damme didn't help matters
yeah,
much.
no, of course, obviously, Cena, that too. But hey, we'll see if we ever get an actual announcement of directors and writers and cast members and whatever down the line, if this ever gets figured out. But hopefully Capcom goes on board and does something with it. It'd be cool to see.
Right.
Well, one company that is happy about something and then also not very happy about a few things this week. Activision-Blizzard got the merger approved by Japan with Microsoft, so that's a positive. But then they got a bunch of other not so positive things. One from the United States, for the FTC and the Justice Department are filing a civil lawsuit on behalf of professional esports league players due to suppressed wages and other just not great things that Activision apparently did. According to some reports, they apparently told the league that there's a competitive balance tax that you're going to get penalized if player competition exceeds a threshold that was set by Activision. This is for both the Overwatch and Call of Duty leagues, by the way. Not great.
Yeah, that seems dumb. Like, make your team intentionally shitty so you don't get penalized. It's like, what?
Yeah, I mean, it's like your players are basically the whole point.
Yeah.
So if you don't pay them well enough, what incentive do they have to just want to be in this?
That's another reason why the Overwatch Gaming League is going so strong right now.
Exactly. It's supposedly, according to Activision-Blizzard, they said that they wanted to create a viable career opportunity for players requiring minimum salaries and mandatory benefits as part of the player contracts. We wanted our products to be competitive, so we carefully designed and implemented the competitive balance tax. So basically, you're creating parity on purpose, but it's not in the same way that you would do with a sports league,
right?
Where they have a salary cap because this is more based on a team. It's not just individuals, where you can literally get the best players because you can pay them the most. I guess in a way you could do that with these, but I don't know. I think there's still region-based issues that you have. I think there's more there's still skill involved, obviously, but I don't think it's the same as when you're competitive in a sports environment as opposed to this. But yeah, I mean, whatever, Activision, that you want to,
I mean, the sentiment is kind of okay, but it's like, well, shouldn't that be on you, unless in the league, or since you're the one who wants to mandate this minimum salary thing? All right, you pay it.
Yeah, it's basically the antitrust division decided that they were trying to protect workers, which, hey, fair to them. They definitely should. They deserve to get paid more if they should be, especially if you're on one of the better teams, and not have to pay them less because of that. I mean, it's why we see now the NFL doesn't have that, but the NFL is the NFL. A lot of the other leagues have a luxury tax or other things that you can break the cap or whatever to sign who you want, but you're just going to pay more money and deal with that on your own.
Yeah.
And even then, you still play the games, right? Even it doesn't mean that because you paid the most money, your team automatically wins.
Right.
And the same goes for this as well. So I think they should have kind of let things play out and see how it went before you're instituting this competitive balance tax.
Right.
But whatever, Activision Blizzard is paying for this now,
Yep.
I guess, and with another lawsuit, which they don't need when they're trying to get this merger through. And it doesn't help that it's the FTC, which is the one lone standout that seems very insistent on making a big deal out of this.
Yeah.
Also, Blizzard's in the news because remember that thing with NetEase where they pulled all the games out of China because they couldn't come to another deal? Well, apparently it might have to do with the fact that Bobby Kotick felt threatened that NetEase CEO William Ding was going to try to make a meal out of this, very similar to Jim Ryan, and try to get China to not put through the Activision-Blizzard merger.
Yeah.
And I think he, due to them having to talk with translators, I think he also might have insulted Kotick as well, which doesn't help. So they just decided, okay, well, we're just going to pull this from China because Kotick and them felt that they were just being a-holes, I guess, out of the whole thing.
Yeah, it's not like China has a big gaming population or anything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, you're hurting your Chinese, your players in China, and I kind of get NetEase in a way. They're trying to see what they can get Activision for. But I would think that Microsoft, whenever this deal finally goes through, is going to rectify this because obviously they don't want
the next day. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want a big contingent of people not being able to play the games.
Right.
Especially when Diablo 4 might already be out by then. They're definitely going to want them playing it. So
yeah.
That's the thing, is like it seems like you get good news and bad news with this whole thing. We'll see what keeps going as things head into a certain direction. It still feels like the FTC is going to hold out as much as possible with this. So it's just kind of one of those wait and see things at this point with that whole thing.
Yeah.
That being said, Xbox does it does only exclusive rights to Arc 2. That's coming out on Game Pass day one. But then all of a sudden, there was people wondering, like, why has nobody been talking about Arc 2? Like, why have we not heard much about Arc 2? And then all of a sudden there's just a tweet released of, Arc 2 is delayed till 2024, by the way. And then you find out that not only are they working on Arc 2, they're working on a remaster of Arc 1. And they're going to put it on the new consoles August 2023. It won't be free. If you have it on Xbox or PC, you can buy it for $50, and it also includes Arc 2. Even though it's going to be on Game Pass, so you technically wouldn't have to buy it. But if you wanted to buy Arc 1 Remastered, you have to buy this bundle probably. Or why would you pay $40 for just one game when you can get both for $10 more? And then the PS5 version, you can only buy it for $40. And then the thing that's really weird, and another kind of tip against this whole like live service sort of thing, is, if you have the first Arc 1, the regular Arc 1, as soon as this remaster comes out, you won't be able to play Arc 1 anymore.
Yeah.
That's just really shitty.
There was some survival game that did this a few years ago. Like they had a decently popular survival game, and they made a sequel that was like terrible, and they wanted everyone to like transfer to that one instead, and then that flamed out, and they had to quickly resurrect the original one because people were so pissed. I see this happening, in very, very soon to this.
Yeah, this may kind of obviously go away because you're waiting for that Arc 1 remaster to come out and everything. But as soon as that game hits and the servers actually go down, that is going to be some really bad discourse that's going to be happening.
Yeah.
And hey, thank you for popping in and saying hello. It's cool to see folks just pop in and saying hi and watching us live here. It's interesting to me that, like, why would you do this right now? Oh, when you're announcing that there's a delay for your next game that people want to play, and then you're telling them, oh yeah, if you paid for your, like, why wouldn't you give them a free upgrade at least?
Right.
Like, wouldn't that smooth things over if you're saying, okay, anybody that bought the original game, if you can prove that you bought it, wherever store you bought it from, will give you a free upgrade? Why on earth would you? I mean, okay, I get why you want to make money, but it's like, what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
I just can't think of. I just don't understand why, in the day and age that we live in, with things being so digital and all that, how we can just go, oh yeah, well, we can't afford to give people that already bought our game some kind of discount, like, okay, $10 or whatever. No, you just gotta pay $40 to get the game again. It's like,
right.
Yo, I mean, damn. That's not cheap. I mean, yeah, you're giving them, if you have it on Xbox or PC, you're basically giving away the second game, whatever. But I mean, it's just so wrong. I hate seeing that shit.
Yeah.
Do you see like any justification for this other than, okay, well, we really don't want Arc 1 to exist anymore? Like,
but why? Not really, because it's like, what's the problem? Or, I mean, I guess they got to pay Vin Diesel his money, but
yeah, I mean, like, I get why you want to make a remastered version, right? Because you want people to be able to go into Arc 1 and then kind of transition easily into Arc 2 and it kind of have that same like look and feel or whatever. But it's like, there's a lot of people that are going to have played that original game that would just want to hop into Arc 2. And then, like, you're telling them, oh, I can't even go back to my original game. I can't. Do we even know if we can use the save from the original game? Like, do I have to restart everything that I did? Like, this is a survival game. Like, don't you want to like keep going with what you were doing already? I mean, did you play this? I never
Arc. I played it for like, I don't know, 5 minutes, and that was about it.
Well, that's something, I guess. But yeah, I like to point these out when it happened because it goes to show that if you're one of those that believes that your game is going to last forever, especially if it's one of those like living world kind of things, the whole gaming industry continues to show you that it's not.
Right.
So enjoy your things while you have them, because you may not have them. Always. For sure.
Yeah.
But hey, at least we know that the PS5 is doing pretty well. The PS5 broke the PlayStation sales records in February, smashing the PS4's global sales record the first 3 months of a calendar year, and I think breaking also the PS2's as well, which is insane. Crazy to see that, like, a month after they tell you that, oh, hey, they're available everywhere, you can get a PS5 now, we start seeing all these records get broken. We start seeing PS5 selling like crazy. And I guess, yeah, no surprise, right? Like,
I mean, it's better than the PSVR 2.
Yeah, definitely better than the PSVR 2, which is not, I don't know, we'll have to discuss that, but just want to bring this up really quick. No surprise, Hogwarts Legacy is the most best-selling game of February.
Yeah.
Really glad to see Octopath Traveler 2 crack the top 10, and that also doesn't include Nintendo Switch digital sales, which I'm sure there were a lot of those. Like a Dragon Ishin and Wild Hearts is up there too, 8 and 9. So that's pretty cool to see as well. But remember, just because it charts 1 month, as we saw with Forspoken, does not mean that it's actually going to have these great sales numbers, but we'll see. Everything else is as you'd expect for games. And, I guess there's also The Last of Us Part 1 that's busted on PC, but
that's a bummer.
that's a bummer. But speaking of PSVR 2, which is the other Sony big thing that released in February, it's only sold like 270,000 units so far, which, okay, in about a month, is that terrible? No. But it's probably also not what Sony wants.
Right.
But to be fair, it's only sold through the PS Store online. So, well, in this country anyway, right? I don't know. In other countries, I think it is on the shelves. I'm like, what is your, both of us didn't really have spectacular thoughts on it. I know we had Kyle on to talk about it, and he gave his thoughts. He did say if you already had a PS5 and you like VR, it's worth investing in, but it's definitely not something that you pay $1,200 for. What is your take on the whole, like, should we still be waiting and seeing? It's only a month, or are we ready to cast aspersions and the sky is falling? And
I was ready to do that when they announced the price. So
yeah. That price is
the high price doesn't help. Obviously, it doesn't help. But the fact that it's on stores, that like there's no games for it out on stores, so people don't even know what it is, and we know one dude that has it, and that's it.
Yeah, I know several people that have it, but the thing is, I know the people that I know have it are people that would need it because they plan on reviewing games for it. They work in industry. I don't know a lot of just GQ gamer that wants to go buy this thing.
Right.
And then also, like, again, we live in a world where, like, just buying the PS5 is a big deal, right? Like, oh, then you're telling me I got to spend another PS5 to buy this thing that there's not a lot of hit games for it right now. The best games are, you can just buy them on the PS5 by itself. Gran Turismo 7 and Resident Evil Village, and then eventually Resident Evil 4 Remake whenever that gets put on there. But, like, there are other less or more cost-effective options if you want VR, and you don't have to buy a PS5 for it. So it just, look, I get it. It's about the specs and all this stuff that the PSVR 2 has, and that's all fine and dandy, but you got to remember, you're trying to make PSVR 2 be the thing that people want, that helps bring VR into the mainstream a little bit, that helps get us closer and closer to that. Oh, people are doing VR in a lot of different places. It's not going to do that with the price that it's at. So I definitely think that if there's ever a price drop for this thing, and also like an actual killer app game, because Call of the Mountain is not it.
Right.
Like I said, I don't know if that's going to be an Astrobot 2 or some other kind of game that's like exclusive to the. For one, I think it has to be exclusive. I don't know that it can be on. You can also get it on the Quest. And then I see a lot of people talk about, like, if you want to be able to have PC ports, but why wouldn't you allow this to be usable on the PC as well? Like, wouldn't you have like a
They want to tie it into the PS5 ecosystem only.
Right, but like, we're seeing what the Steam Deck does for getting people to buy more games on Steam that would just decide, I'm going to buy it on my Switch, or I'm going to buy it on my console.
Right.
Like, I think they probably, obviously the PSVR 2 was way in development at that point. I don't know if they could announce something, right, at some point and go, oh, we're going to make this work with your PC down the line, months down the line, or whatever.
They never did with the PSVR 1.
Right, but the PSVR 1 sold, 5 million units. They didn't necessarily have to.
Right.
Right? there's more VR stuff out there now. You don't need a PSVR 2 to understand or enjoy what VR is.
Yeah.
Whereas the PSVR 1, it was kind of a novel thing. It was kind of like, oh, hey, I have a PS4. Cool. I can go buy this and kind of enjoy VR, you know? And, you know, now if I had space in my house, would I actually consider getting an Oculus 2? Sure. Why not? I definitely don't know if I'm going to spend the money it would take to get the PSVR 2.
Right.
So, yeah, I definitely think this is going to be one of those, like, number one, you need to get it in stores because people need to be able to play this thing. VR, you can try to demo it, but it does not demo well. You need to get people to actually have the thing on their head and see what it is for themselves. Like, yeah, I've seen people that have no interest in VR at all. They put the headset on and they go, holy crap, wow, I'm playing a game here. Like, oh, I want to play a game. I want to experience this more. I want more of this. Okay, I'm going to go buy this, right? Like, I have a friend at work. He is not a gamer at all. His kid did not have any gaming consoles. They bought an Oculus Quest 2. His kid's hooked on the Oculus Quest. Everything he plays is through that thing. So, like, it can work. You just, you know, you can't just have it stuck on an online store and then much like the Steam Deck, and it's like only the hardcore of the hardcore are going to buy this thing. Like, not going to work like that.
Yeah.
It's just not. If you're Steam and you don't care how many of these things you sell, then sure. Or Valve, I'm sorry. But, like, Sony obviously cares how many of these things they sell. So, you know, it's
too bad they're locked. You know, it's locked up on an online storefront only. So,
I mean, I don't know what they have to do to get it into stores. Like, is it that these stores don't want it, or is it they just don't want to do the legwork, or they were worried about it just sitting on shelves? I don't know. But
well, I know the Oculus Quest 2 like had a massive sales dump or sales drop off for this holiday.
Right.
So,
well, didn't they raise the price also?
Not to this extent.
But still, like, raising it $100 is still raising it $100, you know.
But to lose like 95% of your sales,
yeah, no, that's crazy.
That doesn't correlate. You know, if they raised it $1,000, then yes, it would correlate, but not that much.
But I think it got to the point where everybody that wanted to have an Oculus Quest 2 got one already.
Right.
Like, you know. And there really wasn't these like hit games that people were going, oh man, I got to play this on VR.
Yeah.
You know? So there's that as well. I don't know if PSVR 2 is going to pick up at all. If they ever release a game that people are super hyped for that comes out for it, maybe. But right now, it kind of seems to just be doing okay.
Yeah.
I guess. Something kind of unexpected though was SEGA released this free Sonic Murder Mystery game on Steam. I'm surprised you didn't.
I didn't play it, but it's added to my account. Yeah, it's a neat idea. I mean,
I mean, it is a point and click visual novel,
right?
It's not like, you know, a Sonic game with a murder mystery. So, and it's apparently happens on Amy's birthday, so why not?
Just to get you always wanted.
Right, exactly. I guess it could be cool, right? To like go through and
well, it's
have
nice
a different.
That they're treating Sonic with the reverence he normally deserves.
Right. I mean, that they just let somebody make a Sonic game, right? It's like you don't see this very often.
Yeah.
So it's cool that Sega allowed this and it exists, and even if they charge like $10 for it, it wouldn't be bad. It's cool that this is out there.
No, free is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. No, I agree, but I'm just saying, like, even if they did charge something for it, it's not bad.
Yeah.
At least they're not charging you like $60 to go play this thing.
Yet,
but I don't think they will. Surprisingly, also, Vampire Survivors won Best Game at the BAFTAs. God of War Ragnarok was nominated for like 14 awards. It only won 6. And I think one of them was animation, audio achievement, then 2 of the acting ones, best performance and all that.
Yeah.
But man, surprising that, I mean, it did win like the fan game of the year.
Right.
Let's be fair. But the fact that like game design and 2 of the bigger awards, like game design and best game, go to Vampire Survivors. I think that says a lot. Right there. Cool that Shuhei Yoshida got the Fellowship Award. He's done so much for the industry, especially the indies. Like that dude is like when you talk about like how much he's done to promote indies, and like he's like almost like an indie godfather. It's pretty cool that he got that award. And then Tunic also got some awards too, so pretty neat. Elden Ring did not like sweep everything here, which is very rare for last year. I'm sure you'll say that they got it wrong, but
yeah, but it's fine.
Did you know that they're going to add John Cena to PGA Tour 2K23? Marc,
you can't see him, so
exactly. I mean, now you can just hit the ball and it's just this ghost that hits it, and I mean, that's cool.
It'd be funny if he had like super powerful swings or something.
Yeah, I know, definitely. Like, he just does the attitude adjustment and on the ball or whatever.
Right.
What do you? So, I mean, obviously, I'm using this as a segue to talk about the big news that happened today. Also, by the way, Marc's WWE 2K23 review is live on 401 as well, if you want to go read that after we talked about it last week. But that being said, the big news obviously is that WWE and UFC have been merged under one banner of Endeavor. Endeavor already owned UFC, but so now they've bought WWE and decided to merge them into one company that is worth a valued $22 billion. Which seems crazy. They got to wait for the stock market to actually do their evaluation, because it's a stock buy, not a cash buy. There was a chance that the Saudis were going to buy it, but Endeavor decided to buy it instead. Obviously, with an eye on the fact that Raw and SmackDown's TV contracts come up pretty soon, and also the UFC streaming deal with ESPN comes up pretty soon too. So I'm a casual wrestling fan. Obviously, WrestleMania just happened, and it seems that it's getting a lot of great reviews for both nights. You're not a wrestling fan,
right?
But
so I'm of course you got to review the latest wrestling game.
Yeah. So I mean, like, and neither one of us are MMA fans at all, but like, what do you think, I guess, of
I think
this
it's
happening?
Funny.
Yeah.
It's really funny because, like, 20 years ago, WWE could have bought UFC for like a song and they didn't do it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's true.
Like Shane was like begging Vince to buy. He's like, "No, I'm good." And that's like, "Yeah, good choice there, Vince. What a business mind you are."
I mean, how would he know, right? Like, that's not the thing that it's funny because he had a bodybuilding thing for a long time.
Right.
But he couldn't see the forest through the trees that MMA was going to be huge.
Or instead of UFC, he went to XFL, and that's like, shrewd move right there.
To be fair, The Rock is kind of doing okay with it. It seems to be doing okay on ESPN. So
I didn't know it was still going on.
Yeah,
I thought
they
came back
brought
for
it back.
the 1 week, and that was it.
No, the Rock bought it from Vince and kept it going.
Yeah, I know he bought it from Vince, but yeah. I don't know. I mean, they'll probably have more. If it depends on how much they want to integrate it, or if they have more cross, stars aside from like the 2 they have or they had. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting just because, like, when you look at it from a perspective of there's crossover, but there's also the hardcore streams that they want nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
It was interesting for me as I go in. Well, right now I'm still going into the office for at least a couple more months, and there's a large contingent of people that are fight fans that do not give one iota about WWE at all. In fact, one of my good friends there was like, I can't stand that they're with that fake shit.
Right.
And I'm like, do you know how similar UFC is to WWE? It's almost uncanny how much Dana White modeled himself after Vince McMahon. And now they just run it like a freaking, like, because they have to have all these sponsors and everything. They almost wear uniforms now, which is like crazy. There's not a lot of personality, so maybe that's one thing that they can learn from each other, right? UFC can have a little bit more of that personality back. You might get some of the like having the big entrances and all that stuff again.
That would assume WWE has personality. So
yeah, but I mean, okay, if there's one thing WWE does well, it's production, right? Like when I think of any of their big events, like, dude, it feels like a big event.
But that's because they had like their biggest stars on it, not just, you know.
Well, yeah, but they promote the crap out of it. They make it feel huge. Like UFC events for a long while have been feeling like, oh, okay, it's another UFC event. Oh, well, the fight is obviously a big deal, but the event itself doesn't feel big, right? Where WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, they feel like these huge things that you need to go to and whatever, you know. So like what happens with that will be interesting. I don't know that there's much that UFC can bring to WWE.
Presumably, like I said, more, you know, stars that look tough or, you know, that have the pedigree, pardon the pun, of being real fighters.
Right. Interesting to see how much if Vince gets any kind of control again, because now he's like co-CEO of this new company. So he's been slowly getting back into things, but supposedly Triple H is still going to have major creative controls. So we'll see. And the fact that WWE's the fact that WWE's been going up everywhere in metrics is interesting while Vince has not been around, which I think shows a lot of like, why did this guy that owns Endeavor really want Vince to be around if everything went up while he was gone? So, but I don't know. Maybe there's some business things that, you know, Vince would be better for or whatever that Triple H obviously is not that interested in. But we'll see. Obviously, this is going to take time. They still have to get this through all of the channels, and much like the Activision-Blizzard merger, it has to pass everything and all of that. So, but it's interesting that it happened, and it was quite the talk in a lot of places today. So, just thought I would bring it up. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you want to discuss here before we
not really
sign off here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you watching Mandalorian now or?
No, I really haven't watched. The things I'm watching, you have no. Like I said, I'm gonna try to watch that Tetris movie. I have not watched anything Star Wars. In a while. So I know I still have to watch like season 1 and all that stuff still. I like, how are you catching up with it?
Yep. There's like one bad episode or one really weird episode, but yeah, it's still good.
Still good? Okay. Yep. That's good that it is living up to expectations still in its 3rd season.
Yeah.
Well, we'll definitely, I'm sure we'll get the analysis of the whole series when how many episodes is this season gonna have?
Probably 8. I think they always do 8 or 10 episodes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that being said, I think that'll do for this week then. There are a few games coming out. I forgot to mention that the PlayStation Plus games will be out by the time we for this month that or you can go grab if you have PS Plus. One of them is the new released Meet Your Maker, which is an FPS where you can also like make the levels.
Yeah, it's like you make mazes for people to like break into. They're trying to stop them, obviously. So traps and stuff like that.
Sackboy: Big Adventure is also going to be on there, which I really loved. It was a launch game for the PS5. I mean, if you like the Sackboy games, it's another one of those, and I think they do a great job of being, bringing it in, getting to show off some of the stuff the PS5 can do. It's also on PS4 if you still have your PS4, and then Tales of Iron, which is a pretty decent, like Souls-like. I think it's like side-scrolling, but it has a really cool art style and a neat story as well. It's about like a rat. So yeah, there's a review also on Last Word on Gaming if you want to go check it out as well. So there's that as well that you can get this week. Hogwarts Legacy apparently is coming out on the older consoles. We'll see. I don't know if that's going to wind up, if it's actually going to come out or if it's getting delayed. Not sure. Grim Grimoire Once More, which is a remaster of the strategy game that came out, I think, on the PS2.
Yep. Vanilla. I think it's Vanillaware game.
Yes, it is a Vanillaware game. So it's out on Switch, PS5, and PS4. I'm surprised Jens hasn't talked about that with you because I know he's a big Vanillaware game.
That would assume he's interested or is knowing games at all.
Yeah, that's true. Everspace 2, I think, gets out of, wasn't it early access?
Yeah. That's been in early access for like the past year and a half.
So that finally comes out fully this week on the 6th for PC. So if you're one of those that has been playing Everspace, you can go try it out in full out there on
I guess you should go
PC
finally go review it.
Yeah. I forgot you got a code for the early access.
Yeah,
thing.
like a year and a half ago, and it was fun then, but at a certain point, it's like, well, the game's kind of over, or let's finish
exactly.
chapter 1 and wait for chapter 2. It's like, okay,
I guess I gotta wait for that then. And then that's kind of it. You also have that EA Sports PGA Tour game, which I think is like the first EA Sports PGA game in like a long time. So yeah, if you're itching for some golf and don't want to wait for the 2K23 game,
right,
I guess go play that. So yeah, like I said, a lot of the stuff is kind of intermixed in this month. There's some stuff in the middle, a lot of the big stuff, or I wouldn't say big, but a lot of the like things to be excited about is kind of towards the end of the month. So but there's a few things this week. But that being said, that's going to be it for us this week. Hopefully you enjoyed what you heard or you watched. If you want to, you can subscribe, follow, like, whatever, ring the bell. You can get notifications whenever there's a show. Remember that on the WTM Network YouTube channel, you get everything we do. So next week, I'm sure there will probably be a Super Mario Brothers movie review from the Radlich folks. I'm hoping that we can at least definitely talk about it on the next episode if I've seen it. Maybe Marc will have seen it by then as well. And definitely we'll have thoughts on the Tetris movie that's out on Apple, which all indications are that it's really good. And we'll see if we have some more games to be talking about as well. Until then, see you later, everybody.
Later.